It is something that exists in many other versions of Earth, and you have to decide exactly whether or not you are navigating in that direction. There is a high probability that many of you are. The idea of such a thing would happen after open contact, but it would have to happen before you are officially joined to the Interstellar Alliance. So in between the idea of contact and the idea of actually joining the Interstellar Alliance is where something like that would most likely fall.
Okay. Now this person is asking about the formula, and they say they live by the formula, but they can't seem to make it work.
Then they don't
I was
live by the
raised-
formula.
Excuse me?
Then they do not live by the formula.
Right. They're saying that I was raised with beliefs like work before play, you have to earn your fun, life is hard, you can have too much of a good thing. I find it incredibly difficult to find and change the belief systems behind these. How can I learn to feel joy and passion and be sure that I am living the formula as a self-organizing principle?
Well, again, you have to actually live the formula, which you're not doing, because you're not allowing yourself to redefine some of those belief systems in certain ways that serve you. For example, when you talk about the idea that you have to earn the ability to be happy, you do not have to do that. You have to understand that joy is a natural state that belongs in your spirit, that is an expression of spiritual existence. You have to understand that the definitions you have are not working for you. You have to understand there are other definitions that would work for you and be more in alignment with the idea of what the formula is telling you, of what the formula is saying and how it works. So you have to match the definitions you have with the way that the formula has been described to you as working for you to your advantage. If you hold on to definitions that are contradictory to it, then yes, you are not using the formula. It will not work because they are of a different frequency, of a different vibration than the vibrational frequency of actually following and acting on the formula in the way that it has been delivered to you. So examine these definitions in a way that allows you to reinvent them, to understand that you don't have to hold on to them in the way that you have vocalized them. The idea is that, yes, of course, there will be challenges, but challenges are fun. Yes, of course, you have to take physical action, but that does not have to be a struggle. It does not have to feel like, quote unquote, work in the negative sense. Of course, you are physical and will have to do things physically. But when you are going with the flow, when you are being your true self, then all the definitions that you are now saying that don't work for you can be rearranged and reinvented to understand how they can work for you, such as what I just delivered to you, what I just suggested. That work does not have to feel like a struggle, does not have to feel like an effort. There are certain kinds of tensions and pressures that are positive and creative. Again, you have to allow yourself to feel it that way. Because when you are being creative, when you are being yourself, again, of course, you will have challenges because challenges help you grow, help your soul grow, help your spirit grow. So the idea is that there will be a kind of pressure, a creative pressure there. But the pressure that you experience in a positive sense is not the same kind of pressure that you experience in a negative sense. The pressure you experience in a positive sense is a kind of energy momentum that encourages and urges you to move forward, to take action, to be yourself, to be centered, to be true to who you are. The kind of pressure that you experience in the negative sense is the kind that allows you to feel overwhelmed, that you're not doing enough, that things aren't good enough. The idea that you can have too much of a good thing is what sets up the negative pressure. Now, we understand that some of these phrases that exist on your planet are done to make sure that you don't become egotistical about it. That's really the reason that some of them exist, so that you can always have a check and balance system in case you are worried that you will become too egotistical, too out of integrity, too out of alignment. That's the only reason they exist. If you recognize them simply as a check and balance system that can be understood lightly, and you understand you're always willing to check in with yourself to make sure that you are remaining in alignment and always within your integrity, then it's all right from now and then to experience that you might step a little bit outside of it, because you know you will always bring yourself back into alignment by having that check and balance system. But the check and balance system is not meant to be a rigid shackle on you that prevents you from exploring, that prevents you from being yourself, that prevents you from knowing that happiness is your birthright. So you have to take these things that you have said, these admonitions, these phrases, these sayings, a little bit more lightly as a check and balance system, just to make sure that you're staying true to yourself and not see them as such a rigid set of rules that cannot be broken in any event for any reason whatsoever. Just keep them as an understanding that you are always willing to be aware of when you are in or out of balance, and you can move forward by acting on the formula in a freer way that allows you to know you will always pay attention to what you're doing, you will always ask why you believe what you believe, and you will always check yourself to make sure you're remaining true and within integrity to your core vibration, your essential self. So treat those phrases more lightly, and you don't have to necessarily feel so impeded by them to be yourself and feel joy in your life and be a creative, imaginative being who is more than capable of following the formula and experiencing the ease and flow of how your life will unfold in a more natural way.
And this next question says, if people always follow their excitement, the dishes will never get washed, the laundry will never get done, and the garbage will never be picked up. How is society supposed to function like that?
That's a perfect example right there of somebody assuming that those things can never be exciting. They are having a negative definition of those things because they are believing that those things have to be negative. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are many individuals who enjoy washing the dishes because as the water, the warm water flows over their hands and they are meditating on washing the dishes, it is like falling into a meditation, which they actually enjoy. And some individuals can use that to give themselves a break, to take a moment of pause and just do something physically simple that allows them to feel more organized, allows them to feel that things are cleaner, allows them to feel in a more meditative state, a relaxed state, doing something simple as they may gaze out the window and look at the neighborhood around them while they are doing that. You have to be very, very aware of when you yourself are making an assumption that certain things are automatically negative when they don't have to be. So all of those things can still be done, and people can also invent new ways of doing those things if it is true that none of them actually is representative of their passion. You've already invented things like machinery to wash dishes and so on and so forth, machinery to collect and process the idea of waste in a more automated way. So that's also part of you being imaginative and creative and inventive enough to do that, but cannot come from the assumption that those things are automatically negative, because assuming that they are isn't what serves you, because there are people who actually find those endeavors to be relaxing, exciting, meditative, so on and so forth, for a variety of different reasons. So the first step is not to assume that those things are negative just because you have chosen to experience them that way.
Okay, and this person is saying, I need help finding my highest passion.
One moment.
Hmm.
We're going to add something else to that last question.
Okay.
You have to understand also that sometimes the people that do things in society, like collect the garbage, as you say, are providing a service to humanity. So it's all about understanding some of these things also, doing laundry, collecting garbage, as doing service to a family, service to humanity, service to groups. The assumption that those things are automatically negative blocks individuals from understanding that being willing to do those things is actually providing a service for certain individuals. And service to humanity is how you allow yourself to find your center in many cases.
In
Please.
fact, aren't we hardwired in the sense that being of service raises our vibration? It's one of the highest endeavors, in a sense, that you can
Yes.
offer in your reality. And you see this quite often in the early in teachings of many
Yes.
different perspectives that
Yes. But we are
you-
getting ahead of ourselves because this issue will be one of the steps coming up in the near future.
Okay.
We will address it then.
All righty. So this person is having trouble finding their highest passion, and people seem to progress in life, getting married, having kids, buying houses, buying cars, following their interests and traveling. I feel my life isn't moving anywhere. I am at the same place in life that I was 6 years ago. I know it may not be 100% true as I have grown at work. However, the other aspects of my life have not progressed. Now, when I meet my friends who have moved on in life, I feel I'm missing out and I wonder what my purpose really is. I feel low at times, wondering if my spiritual practices are helping at all. That is this individual's experience right now.
Yes. Well, there's two things that we can address about this immediately. Number one is what we have always said, is that the idea of your passion doesn't have to be big things, so to speak. Doesn't have to be a career, doesn't have to be a large-scale project. At any given moment, you have a number of options available to you that are everyday things. Just always choose the one first that has more exciting, more attractiveness to it, more curiosity to it than any other choice, and do that first. And continue to do that as you unfold. Sometimes things will come along that will synchronistically be opportunities to do bigger things, bigger versions of acting on your excitement, but it isn't necessary that that happens. Because again, as long as you are always choosing what is more exciting than anything else, even on a simple level, then you are following the formula and you are having a life of following your passion. Again, passion doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be jumping up and down with your hair on fire or doing monumental things. But the idea in general is that this person is doing something where they're comparing themselves to other people, which you never should do. Because the idea is you are a unique individual. And what may feel like an expansion to someone won't necessarily feel like an expansion to you. So you have to get in touch with the fact that in talking about doing spiritual practices, that these spiritual practices include the idea of actually acting physically on the things that are representative of having more excitement than any other choice in them. Because many times people on your planet, when they talk about doing spiritual practices, are simply doing things for themselves and not for others in terms of sharing their gifts. They're not examining what they could be doing in service to humanity that is representative of being of service. A lot of times the idea of acting on your passion means you are giving something to someone else. You are actually expressing a gift that other people will find necessary to receive in their lives. So while it's all well and good that you feel you are growing at work, and that should be a signal to you of what we're talking about, because growing at work means you are doing something that is helping other people. You are being of service in the job that you do for the other people also doing similar jobs in the same business. So that should be your first clue that in order to expand your life in other areas, you also need to be doing things that are serving other people. If you have gifts to share, share them. If you need to write a book, write it. If you need to do a piece of art, do it. If you need to compose a piece of music, do it. The idea is that if you're holding your gifts back, if you're not acting on those things outwardly, in service to humanity to give them things they may be waiting for you to give them, then that's why your life is not expanding, because you're not actually taking the action on the things that would be the gifts that you have to share with humanity. So take a cue from the fact that you have grown at work, doing something that helps other people, and incorporate that attitude and that behavior in the rest of your life.